Hi, you're listening to Listen to Local with Adam Velo, and I'm Adam Velo. And today we've got a guest that is Sebastian Haysman, who's based out of Melbourne, in Naarm, of course, and is an independent singer-songwriter who offers connection and escape for any audience. And he is here today to present his debut single. And yeah, we'll be discussing this over the next however long. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Adam. Looking forward to it. Very happy to be here.
And very happy to have you here too, of course. So yeah, of course, Papercuts, which is the track we're discussing today. You write
Mm.
it in a way that you are basically writing a letter directly to your lost friend. Do you always start with writing as a letter, then work it through to a song?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like it depends on how deep the feeling is, I
Mm,
guess. I feel like sometimes I write a song uh, in a state where I'm feeling very passionate and I'm very in the midst of the emotion. And I feel like I have a lot to say about a situation and
mm,
it just comes unconsciously, the words onto the page. And so for this song, especially, I guess I just had so much I wanted to say that I felt I couldn't actually say to the person and to the situation. So writing, I feel like, is so effective in that way, in
mm,
curating a way to also kind of convey and understand your own feelings by writing them out, especially in putting them into a melody that kind of reflects that feeling as much as it can. So, yeah, that's a great question. I guess it depends. For this song, definitely, it felt like I was
mm,
writing a letter to someone, and it's very therapeutic singing it and
mm.
performing it and seeing other people connect to it in their own ways as well.
Yeah. And there's obviously the writing, but also, yeah, you touch on the melody. It's like with this track, I feel like you have a quality that is obviously that vulnerability that you can fill up not only like a band room, but like a big, big stage production that you can just take the energy throughout the space. And I think it's absolutely wonderful to hear.
Thanks so
Um,
much.
Hmm. So, of course, yeah, Paper Cuts is built on the nostalgic concept of going through, birthday cards and all that of years gone by. What was your main purpose for, holding on to the memories of these cards and, yeah, reflecting on those?
Yeah, no, I personally love birthdays. Obviously, presents are so lovely, but I
Mm.
personally find a lot of meaning in the cards as
Yeah.
well, or just in how people, I don't know, spread their love through words. I feel like it's so special just in all of life and just seeing it's such a wholesome human moment on birthdays is
Mm.
when you receive a birthday card and people just tell you that like just their love and they explain their feelings and
Mm.
it's just so personal and it's so intimate and I find that it's very childlike as well because it's
Mm.
something that we grow up doing and it's something that we continue doing until we're older and I find that so special and so for this song I found inspiration in the fact that something so innocent and special like that can be bittersweet in
Mm.
retrospect when you find a card written by someone who might not be as close to you anymore. And so I thought it was kind of an interesting metaphor for how you read an old birthday card. It's like, okay, well, what do I do with this? I feel like we've all kind of been faced with that. It's like, okay, do I throw out this birthday card or do I keep it? But why would I keep it if I'm not going to really read it again? And it's
Mm.
kind of giving me this bittersweet feeling. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of relatable and it's yeah, I just wanted to draw on the fact on how birthdays um can kind of be a double-edged sword in retrospect,
Mm.
depending on the situation. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. It's very interesting, in the world that we are now, that birthday cards are kind of that this last, physical medium that people go out and, obviously physically handwrite messages because, like, in general, we have contact with everyone, yet, we don't go out and express joy and love of these people. It's only typically
Sure.
for, birthday situations. So, yeah, obviously the emotion of a birthday card is quite unique, considering, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. And
definitely.
yeah, of course, with paper cuts, what was the concept of, the idea of the physical paper cut, the idea of a paper cut that made you represent, how you felt at the time.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of convey how reminiscing on the past can inflict pain, I
Mm,
guess. And I guess it's just literal, but also metaphorical in the way that, okay, I'm reading through these old memories and it's hurting for some
mm,
reason. And it's giving me paper cuts. And I guess the idea of a paper cut is that it's very small. And despite it being very small, everyone knows it's like inflicts a little bit of pain. It's a bit of a sting very quickly, but then you kind of get past it. But every time you notice it again, it hurts. And it's
mm,
kind of just, I guess that was kind of a good representation of how it feels when you're feeling nostalgic, and the feeling of nostalgia and looking back on memories that you used to have such sweetness with, and now it's a little bit bittersweet. And so I guess the concept of a paper cut is like, okay, it's such a small little pain, but when you notice it, it hurts.
mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously, yeah, addressing the elephant in the room, of course, when you look back at the memories that hurt like that. Yeah, of course, because it's such a real life metaphor. I think that's also what relates to all the listeners, just being able to, feel that kind of
Hmm.
small little pain that just is just there. Um,
Hmm.
but of course, yeah, if you weren't a musician yourself, would you have thought that you could have been like a writer or something with, the stories you tell and write about?
Mm. Interestingly, when I was younger, I always like you look through my little primary school
Mm.
things and those little tasks you did, and I always said when I grow up I want to be an author.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I grew up writing a lot of short stories before I kind of combined that with music. They were ridiculous and very random, the things I would write. And I guess that I only kind of started putting that into song when I was about 11 or 12 years old. And those again were kind of very childish, silly songs. And then they became more mature and serious when I was about 16.
Mm.
But yeah, I've always loved to write. I interestingly don't read heaps, but I listen. I feel like songwriting and listening to songs is another form of that. So
Yeah.
when I grew up, I wrote a lot of short stories, and I read more when I was younger, but now I feel like I've translated that into music more, and that's my form of like consuming like musical literature, I guess. So I find writing to be such like an essential part of music. That's what like draws me into a song or the lyrics. And I guess I did grow from my love of writing when I was younger, and how I just made that into melodies now.
Yeah. I do have to point out the irony though when you're saying you don't read as much, and I'm just looking at the background of your shot here, and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's interesting. A lot of these are childhood books, and a lot of them I have not read, ironically. So
well,
yeah.
maybe we go with the listen to local book club or something.
Yeah.
Move on with
Yes.
that.
I would join, but I would be awful at reading. So I'd be there for the vibes.
Yeah, you actually debuted in a way this song at the Real Songwriters of Melbourne event. What do you feel like it was presenting, to a room of fellow independent musicians versus, more recently a general audience?
It's a great question. I love performing for both. I find performing for other independent musicians is very special though as well. I've been doing a lot of open mics like that this year. That
Mm,
was one of my goals. I was trying to book gigs, and obviously booking gigs isn't always easy. And so open mics is a great avenue to find a really open and available way to perform and just connect with other musicians. And performing to those rooms is really special because everyone is so focused, but not from like a place of support necessarily,
mm,
but from a place of like real interest and real
mm,
desire to understand and connect and like learn, which is really special to see. And I love personally watching other small artists sing at those events and hearing their stories. And I draw a lot of inspiration from those events when I see so many different styles. Like you see the classic folk, and then
mm.
you see a really interesting style like dreamy pop being performed, and it's so inspiring. And I feel like performing in a room of other independents is a real good way to get inspired and connect with other people and learn from how other people write. And it's also a great form of support. I've met a lot of people this year, and I've met a lot of music friends through going to open mics like the RSOM
Mm.
open mic there. So yeah, they're very important events. I find they are such a good opportunity for musicians, and very lucky to have them, especially in Melbourne. They're very supportive here with open mics. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say around Melbourne in particular. Yeah, we've got so many opportunities because we have so many, smaller venues alongside the bigger venues at the top. But yeah, obviously, so good to be able to go out and support all the independent musicians. And yeah, I mean that I feel like on the lower level there are so many musicians that are just as good as your top international stars. Yeah,
100%,
so
100%. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, how long in general? Of course, you touched on that earlier. How long have you been working on, writing stories to the point that you're now comfortable to be able to release it into the public?
I started writing real songs and using it as a
Mm,
real mechanism to like feel, I guess, when I
mm,
was about 16. So I'd always been listening to so much music when I was younger. I listened to a lot of Taylor Swift
mm,
and a lot of those really writing oriented artists. And I only kind of started pursuing it on my own when I was 16. I mean, I wrote first like childhood songs when I was younger, but I guess they are just for the start for sake. But yeah, I feel like the more I grow and more I experience things, the more I write, and I find it's a great way to complement a life situation. And so yeah, I guess because I'm 21 now, so been about 5 years, and it's interesting listening to my songs through the progression of my life and how they just improve. I
Mm,
feel when I was 16, I was very much trying to write like I wanted to write like what I was hearing, I guess. I wanted to like resemble what I liked and what I was hearing on the radio, which is great. It's a great way to start, I guess. But now I'm
mm,
more definitely using it for it's very like I guess, like a passion project for myself to help myself, I don't know, convey my emotions and understand and interpret things that happen around me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's just finding your own person as you evolve, and all of course, yeah, just the emotions that you find, the more mature emotions as we grow up, and of course, but yeah, of course, you mentioned obviously your writing has improved as time goes on. Have you ever looked back at that the older songs you've written and thought, I would have written this differently today, or yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I hear some of them are a bit of a hard listen.
Yeah.
Um, but they're a really nice time capsule though. It's like
Yeah,
now that they're done, I like don't want to touch them because I'm like, okay,
exactly.
whatever 16-year-old me was feeling, like that's fine. And however they wanted it to sound is how he wanted it to sound. So sometimes I do, I'm like, oh, but then I'm also like, it's kind of really special to hear it again and
Mm.
be like, I thought it was the best thing I'd ever heard at the time. And
Yeah.
I sometimes I thought like at a gig, it would be really special to play like an old song from when I was 16, 17 that I was too scared to play. I only really started performing my originals this year. Like I
Mm.
remember I like played a few for my friends, but like I showed them like a recording. I hadn't played it live in front of them. So I feel like this year and last year is only when I really started performing them in front of other people.
Mm.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it would be such an interesting box to open, of course, with with yeah,
sure.
all the memories around that. Um, but yeah, with this song, you've actually had a few playlist inclusions of late from this release, and of course, over 3,000 streams. What personal feedback have you received from people around you, and what you've achieved from it?
Mm. Um, yeah, it's been really cool to hear how other people have interpreted it for their own
Mm,
lives. And I think that's so special. Like, I feel like releasing a song, a lot of people do want to ask about like your inspiration and ask about why I like the situation that provoked it for me. But it's so much better when you hear someone say, oh, I like listen to this song and I'm going through this at the moment and I've had it like on repeat because it's like da da da. And it's just so special to hear that. It's like that's the best form of feedback because I feel like that's the point of music. It's to help people connect and feel and yeah, just connect with other people. And so I guess the best piece of feedback I've gotten from it is hearing how other people have said that they relate to it.
Mm,
And it might be a completely different way. Like I've heard people say that they've related to it because of a breakup or something. I'm like, that's great. It wasn't about a
mm.
breakup for me, but like hearing you say that is so special because it's like that's such a good way to explain how effective music is. So
I mean, obviously you write what you write, but then from there it always takes a life on its own because, you can open up to anyone's emotions and anyone's story. And I mean, obviously, I hear a lot of people saying that the more specific, and I assume that's obviously the case with Taylor's as a main one. Um, the more specific it is, the more that they can relate to it, which is quite funny when you consider, I guess, the irony of that in a way. So yeah,
for sure, yeah.
yeah, and yeah, you often play with friends when performing, which is probably why in this situation when friendship ends, it's so hard, of course. But what do you enjoy most about performing alongside people you love?
Wow. I guess also just like listening to them. Like I'm
Mm,
such a fan of my friends and sometimes playing with them and especially like singing with them, it's like, oh, I want to shut up. I just want to listen to you sing it. Like recently I had a bit of a jam with a couple of my friends and we played Papercuts and I haven't
yeah.
posted that yet, but I will soon. And it was so good. I was like, I was hearing them sing my song. I was like, wait, like don't stop. Like I don't want to even be in this video. I just want you
Yeah.
guys to sing. Um, but it's really fun just like learning from each other. I feel
Mm,
like every like, songwriting sometimes can feel like a really like individual
mm,
experience and very private. And when you share it with someone else and when you start singing with another person and you like learn about how they, for example, you learn about how they learn to harmonize or you learn how they
mm,
might interpret playing a song. Like I personally am not a very great guitarist, but I've played with a few guitarists and hearing them come up with a different strumming pattern for a song or a different way to play it. I'm like, that's amazing. Like I would not have thought of that. And so I guess it's you hear interpretations of a song or ways to play a song that I personally wouldn't have thought of. I feel like everyone has some sort of limit sometimes when it comes to how they hear something. And so when you hear everyone else's different perspectives, it's something you can't always achieve when you're just doing it all by yourself. So
mm.
I've just really enjoyed hearing how other people think that a song should be played because it's so useful and it's so valuable and it's a great way to I guess expand how I make something.
Yeah. Yeah, expanding horizons and yeah, obviously being able to take little bits of that into your own performance. It must be so nice to see people being able to take what you've already written and making it their in a way their own, of course.
Mm,
Um, yeah, but
for sure.
has there ever been a concert or a festival you've attended that's changed your perspective on what you've wanted to make with your music?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like my personal favorite concert has been the Eras tour that I went to
Mm,
last year. I went a couple times and it was so inspiring to see like the scale of music.
mm,
Like everyone knows that Taylor Swift's amazing, but when you see it that like live at that scale of production, it's like, wow, this is so powerful. But I feel like something that really inspired me was I went to Olivia Rodrigo's tour
yeah,
last year. And I really loved that because I sometimes feel a little bit unsure of how my music could really attract a room because it's quite slow sometimes.
mm,
Like my music is quite piano oriented and it's quite emotional. And so is a lot of Olivia Rodrigo's songs. And
for sure.
hearing her play them, and sometimes she'd play a song so stripped back and the whole crowd would sing it so loudly back to her and there'd still be such like everyone has so much attention and it was really inspiring to think okay, I don't need to try make my music anything it's not. I don't need to force myself to make these huge songs, huge bangers, huge upbeat like beaty songs. Like I can
Mm,
make what I love and it can
yeah,
still translate into a live setting and it keep everyone's attention. And for example, like similarly, like I saw Gracie Abrams perform earlier this year and hearing it so authentic. She's just on her guitar with her band, and her
Mm,
songs aren't like too heavily produced. I love songs that are heavily produced, but
of
Gracie's
course.
album, like her album was so acoustic, and hearing that live, it's like everyone is still so attentive and still having so much fun, and they still dance, they still cry, and those are really inspiring for me because I feel like I struggle sometimes with thinking my songs are too slow or my songs are too
Mm,
emotional. But a lot of the big artists nowadays grew off of that, and it's really great to see that audiences still love that and still really connect with that.
mm. And I think another aspect of that, with the bigger artists is being able to, slow acoustic performances. They push the audience to be fully on the ball from the start to the end, and yeah,
Mhm.
be entirely in the moment. Like a more pop banger, you might be filming a little bit for social media, but you can't really, you're not in a position to be able to do that with slower, more stripped back.
Mhm.
And I think that's the appeal of it to me, is to, yeah, obviously bring people into the moment, that which will
Yeah,
be, yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, of course, we're obviously doing this interview just as the hottest 100 voting actually opened the other day. So, what
Mm.
Australian artists would you have in your list?
Good question. This year, a lot of local acts for sure. I need to put in my votes. That's a good reminder. I still haven't done it, but I've been loving a lot of Darcy Haven's music
Yeah,
this
yeah.
year, obviously. Um, other more on a local scale, love Erica Avenue. They're a
Mm,
pop rock band from Melbourne. Um, Also on a grander scale, I grew up listening to a lot of Delta Goodrem.
yeah.
She's not that she's very eligible this year, but she's always been
No,
an Australian icon for me.
yeah.
Um, yeah, there's a lot. Royal Otis's album this year, I really loved. I've never been a huge indie rock fan. I'm very
Mm,
like pop oriented, but I really loved Royal Otis's album this year. It was
mm,
really like I loved the energy. I saw them live a couple years ago, whenever it was at BTV, and I thought they were great. And so I loved their album this year, but
yeah,
also love local artists like Annabelle Grace,
yeah.
Alice Isabella. It's been so good seeing everyone come out of their shell this year and so many debuts that need to be recognized. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I feel like 2025 has been a year of debuts. And I mean, obviously, other artists that have gone from a level to expanding further on, like Darcy Haven, you mentioned there, it's blown up. Nina Geraci obviously has been exploding recently. Yeah, obviously that Roll Otis album, even though they were already quite big, that was such a big deal when that
Mm,
dropped and all that. So yes, something about this year has brought out some quality performances in
mm.
Australian music, and thank God, because obviously last year there was only like 20 something artists that actually made the hottest 100.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I can feel like there's a huge shift that started this year, though. I think a lot of
Mm,
people are getting a lot of confidence to just do it and
mm,
release. And I feel like there's a lot more support that's growing for local artists, especially in the NAM scene. So
mm,
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that evolves over next year as well. And hopefully it's reflected in the hottest 100. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah. But yeah, of course, on your own work, of course, with getting people behind it and all that, where can people, see, listen to Papercuts and your own general discography, and of
Mhm.
course, yeah, see any future projects into the new year?
Yeah. You can listen to Paper Cuts anywhere, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever you stream. You can also see a lot more of what I do on TikTok and Instagram. I
Yeah.
post a lot of covers and a lot of originals on TikTok in a bit more of a chill, intimate setting. I kind of trial or like how people react to
Mm,
originals through those apps. So you can follow a bit more live updates on TikTok and Instagram and stream on Spotify. Stay tuned. There'll be some new music coming in 2026 as well, which is very exciting. So looking
mm.
forward to that.
and I highly encourage you to stay tuned with all the future projects. So, I mean, thank you so much for being on today. It's been a real pleasure chatting to you, and yeah,
Thanks so much for having me.
I'll
Great
be
questions.
making sure to. Sorry.
Great questions. I love those questions.
Thank you. No, I'll be making sure to catch you with your new music and I mean in person when I get the chance as well. So
Yeah. Thank you, Adam. It was nice to meet you. This was great. Thank you so much.